Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Furry President Podcast with your President for Life, democratically elected, of course, of time and space, named Neil Fox, also known as Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin. I'm going to have to figure out how to say that a little bit slower next time. And with me, as always, is my Vice President.
Hello, I am the Vice President of Time and Space and the eternal watchdog of the furry fandom. Let's dive right into the news.
Yes, so we are doing a bit of an emergency podcast because we found the most fascinating thing, and we just published the episode with the audio, but we are reacting essentially to what we just witnessed. So we happened to be invited by some, let's just say, unique individuals. And we listened to what they had to say about their actions on January 6th protest. Now, here's the thing. They told us that they are doing a nightly protest outside the DC jail. So I have a question for you.
A nightly protest. Guys, they're doing a nightly protest.
So here's
what's going on with these people?
So here's what I want to ask you.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Would you, either next weekend or the following weekend, would you like to make a trip to D.C. to go and interview these people in person?
Stand by. Might have an interesting story on our hands.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is the Furry President Podcast, also known as Fox2028.com, which is our website. Now, you can find all of our stuff on all your favorite podcast platforms, including iTunes, CastBox, and Anchor.fm. Now, here is what we are going to discuss on today's emergency podcast episode. So we just listened to a bunch of people talking for 3 hours about the actions that they and their family members did on January 6th. And here's the piece of information that I want to make sure we spread to as many journalists as possible over the next couple of days. They plan to do it again.
Yes. And once we get exactly what day of the week it is, when it's going to happen, we'll be passing that on to the proper authorities, because violence is not the way to get anything done.
Absolutely.
And if we
not.
can single-handedly save this great nation, I'm sure as shit going to try.
The closest that our democracy has ever been to falling into anarchy was January 6th of 2021, because there were multiple individuals with the explicit intention to kill elected officials.
Yes.
They said it on their own videos. They said, "I want to kill X person." They also put up nooses.
Yes.
Within sight of the Capitol building. They also brought tactical gear. They brought bombs. They brought automatic weapons and other horrible methods of destruction and chaos. And I ask you, do you know how close the country came to a congressman dying on that day?
It was 30 feet down the hall.
Literally,
If
30 feet.
If one of those protesters had a firearm, they probably would have taken the shot. And we would have a very, very different media landscape right now.
Correct.
And a massacre on the front steps, which we don't need a massacre on the front steps, people.
Absolutely not. And so this is what I said to one of the protesters when I was talking to them on a direct message. Oh, they're asking us to join a space, so we'll do that in a moment. But I wanted to read to you what I said to her first.
Yep.
And then we can join their call and see if they are interested in coming on our radio show. So, here's what she said. I said to her in a public tweet, I said, "Would you like to come on our free speech radio show?"
Yes.
And she said, "Very humble to accept." And she can join via her phone. Great. She gave her number. And then it says, I said, "We are interviewing Sean Weitzman tonight at 8 p.m. EST. So Sean Weitzman is one of the most well-known and, I'm going to use the word notorious, protesters from that day. Mr. Weitzman has currently 3,700 followers on Twitter and has a blue check mark. That's quite interesting. Verified because it's subscribed to Twitter Blue, of course. So, This person has as his pinned tweet a video which he claims proves that January 6th was a hoax. Now, I would love to speak with him about this while we interview him on the show. So we will go over this video or any other video that he would like to show us and learn from the horse's mouth himself why January 6th was an inside job. Because if it was an inside job, then we should lead the protest to the steps of the Capitol building. Now, I don't think that it was an inside job. I will have to be convinced by Mr. Weitzman. Should be a very interesting conversation. So I hope that you will stay tuned to the podcast feed for that. Now, here is what I said to this person named Misty Devaney. Misty Devaney, okay?
Yep.
Here is the person that I invited on the show. Let me just read her bio real quick because I want to make sure that we read what she said because I don't want to put words in these people's mouths. So she also has a blue check mark, verified because it's subscribed to Twitter Blue, of course. 1,400 followers. She says, please spread like wildfire. Take this to your mayor, your police department, your fireman, any group/organization. Call to action for Ryan Samsel. Okay, let's see. Ryan has been incarcerated for 722 days. Wow. Ryan has a blood clotting disorder that is documented. He is currently being held in the Lewisburg Penitentiary in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. And this is what they recommend to do, okay? They give the information of Judge Jaya M. Cobb. They give the information for the U.S. Marshals and for the penitentiary itself. And they say the following. I'm writing in regards to Ryan Samsel as a friend of the family. He has been incarcerated for 724 days since January 30th of 2021. I'm writing again to request that you let Ryan out to get the medical care he needs. Dr. Ediger refused to see Ryan today. The nurse called him a liar and refused to see him as well. They refused to see him or help him, and he is progressively getting worse. Just so you know, we are watching, we are listening, we are documenting. We will work directly with his wife, Rachel, to hold you accountable if Ryan is not released to receive the medical care that he needs. It says, quote, if you do not tell them you are a friend of the family, they will hang up on you. Okay, so we have already, just in a public tweet by a Miss Nika, or Monica, she's currently hosting a space on Twitter right now. This is something that Misty retweeted. And we have Nika making, I would say, oddly specific and threatening statements to the U.S. Marshal. That seems illegal, but we will find out. I'll have to call the U.S. Marshal. How convenient for us that she has given us the U.S. Marshal's contact information. I bet that this person who is currently incarcerated would be happy to come on the program as well, so we will find out. Just in case she deletes the tweet, we will make sure to save that information before we continue. So, what do you think of what you've heard so far?
Oh my god. These people, I didn't know they exist. I did not know people like this honestly existed.
Yeah, it sounds like satire, but this is not satire. This is real. Okay, so let me continue with what Misty said. She says, I can be ready at 9 p.m. Okay, so she would like to be interviewed at 9 p.m.
Okay.
EST, and we'll interview Sean at 8 p.m. EST. So that is, let's see, it's about an hour and a half from now is when we're going to interview Mr. Weitzman. Okay.
Okay.
She says, I'm stunned and humble, happy to share and answer any question that you have for me. I said, what would you like to say on my show? I published the stories of the protesters and their families. Or I should say, I said, I want to publish the stories of the protesters and their families.
Yep.
And here's what she said. She says, we need all the stories. We need to try to get elected officials on record. Get America's Voice Challenge, whatever that is, to take off to give a voice to call January Sixers. Okay, so here's what she wrote. Join in America's Voice Challenge. Okay. Record or create videos singing the national anthem. Post on any and all social media. Let our Star-Spangled Banner drown out the injustice. that is rampart. That's misspelled, but okay.
Rampant.
Rampant is what she meant to say. That is rampant on J6ers post till they are home. Hashtag sing for freedom. At GOP, at House GOP, at Senate GOP. Copy /share /grow /sing /solo /groups /family /clubs. Anyone and everyone, stand American strong as #1 voice America's Voice Challenge. That is a mouthful and a half. I would recommend that when you are posting online that you add punctuation and spaces between your words. But you know what? Let's let them speak for themselves, shall we? So here's what I said. And by the way, she liked the post, so she likes what I was saying here. I said, I have a suggestion. Instead of violence, what if your friends and I work together to get elected officials to come on record on my program and speak to the protesters? The protesters whose family members are currently incarcerated.
Yes.
Because, after all, those elected officials work for them just as much as they work for us. They don't work any less for someone who was, convicted of breaking into the U.S. Capitol. They still work for them because the elected official is elected by everyone and serves everyone. So, anyway, I said, what if we scheduled an interview with an elected official on one side and a protester on the other side, and either the vice president or I will be the moderator of the debate.
Sounds good.
I said, I bet our Tampa Bay listeners would be on your side, especially if the official is a Democrat. She says, I will see what I can do. I said, here's my recommendation. Let's make a group chat and channel on Telegram, and you can add me to it. We will all work together to get elected officials on the program with a letter, email, and call campaign. So again, completely nonviolent protest. Okay?
Yep.
We are 100% against any kind of violence, especially against elected officials. Let me be exceptionally clear on that point.
Yes.
But we are exceptionally in favor of free speech. And after all, is it not our constitutional right to speak to our elected officials and tell them how we feel?
It's not just our constitutional right. It's our American duty to criticize and belittle our elected officials when they step out of line.
Correct.
That is an American right.
And I will make, like I said a few moments ago, if January 6th was an inside job, which they seem to believe, then I will lead the protest to the steps of the Capitol building myself. Peacefully, by the way. But if it truly was orchestrated by the people at the top, and the January 6th protesters are just innocent little snowflakes that didn't do nothing wrong, as they claimed many times in the call that we listened to, if that is true, and I'm not saying it is, I'm saying if that is true, I will lead the million marchers onto the steps of the Capitol myself. But if I am correct, and it was the actions of some very angry and very violent people on the alt-right in particular, who caused the deaths of multiple people, including a police officer on January 6th of 2021, then I would say that
Wasn't that police officer death debunked by CNN?
It has been 2 years since I read it, so I'll have to double check.
Yeah.
But we do know that at least 1 or 2 people died, probably 4. And one of them was a police officer from what I heard, but we will double check that before we go on air. Again, we're just reacting to what we heard.
Yeah.
I said we will make a group chat and channel on Telegram, and we will all work together to get elected officials to come on my program with letters, emails, and calls.
Awesome.
And then she makes a suggestion of someone that we can work with named Pam Hemp Hill 79. Okay. We'll definitely invite her on the program. And then I said, You guys pick which one of your group, meaning the protesters, you pick which one of your group you want on the call with the elected official. And then we will record the debate, we'll moderate the debate, and we would then publish to our online network of around 100,000 online followers. And then the WWPR AM radio station has around 2 million listener reach, from what I understand. So it would go out to 100,000 online followers and around 2 million listeners on the radio. Helena and General are more concerned than me, so I would chat with them, she says. Okay. V General 249, okay, and Helena Gibbs, okay. And then I said, by having an elected official on the program, it becomes news. So, for example, let's say it was you talking to Misty. Let's say it was you and Matt Gaetz discussing the details. And since it's a Florida-based radio program, perhaps we could get Representative Gaetz on the show. And then I suggested, or, the general, this person who apparently is a leader in their group, and, somebody like Nancy Pelosi. That would be a very interesting debate. And in fact, I think it would make huge mainstream news because, we get a lot of views on things whenever they get covered by the mainstream media. It says, if you could get Nancy, that would be something, but I'm not sure if she would come in on this, is what she says, okay? I said, she will if we get people from her district. So, for example, if there were 10 people from her district that showed up in person at the office in Washington, D.C., then I would be happy to film and record that. And, if 10 people from her district show up, then she would have to talk to them, I would think. She also recommends that we speak to someone named Guns and Grenade, a person from California who might have connections to get a Democrat from California. Excellent, okay. She says, I'm from Arizona. I will share the info with some California friends and see if we can make that happen. That's what I can do for this topic. And we will take a quick commercial break, and we will be back after this message.